Rune and I, we met back in '87. I was working in a studio as an engineer, and I just made my first record. And Rune came in with his band, and they wanted to record with in the studio. So we made a record with them, and then Rune and I, we started working on a project. And then eventually when
it was actually called Polanski's Outtakes.
I can't even remember the name. And then when Rune and the third Overlord, Dick, they started the Overlords. They called me up and said, "Look, dude, we're doing this project. Do you want to join?" Back then there was a lot of different things going on and different scenes, different vibes. You know, there was music coming out of Chicago, music coming out of London. We were doing stuff in Copenhagen, there was stuff coming from Frankfurt. But it wasn't like today. I mean, you couldn't just, you know, go on the internet and find stuff. A lot of it was secret. Some bands, they came to Denmark. We went to other countries, and we played at the Berlin Independence Days. I remember.
Subway, a Belgian company. We had an instrumental track called Sundown, and then we wanted to do a 12-inch because we were, you know, hanging out on clubs, and we also did raves in Copenhagen and had our own club called Subaxel. And then we contacted Kenneth Baker, the DJ, and then basically one night Ian and I was in the studio, and Kenneth phoned us. We never actually worked with anyone before, and he said, like, do 6 bass lines for me. So we did 6 bass lines for him on a cassette tape, you know, put into a cassette player and later replaced. And we sent it to him, and he called us the next day and said, "I like this, you know, the 4th bass line," and the 4th bass line was the Sundown bass line. And then Kenny came to the studio, and we stripped down Sundown, and it ended up being like a 2-month session, and in the end.
Now I'll pick out Sundown and God's and Goa as two specific tunes. I think many people can agree with me that this would probably the really beginning of that style of music that we today call psytrance or Goa trance. Were you aware of the inspiration you actually are you been aware of the inspiration you actually gave to a lot of people in the scene today?
I think, I mean, when we did God's Eye and Goa, I know I was quite aware because I saw the impact that Sundown had in Goa, and they were playing Sundown every single night at sunset at the Shore Bar in Anjuna Beach. And I was there, so I was like, and everybody came up to me and said, "Oh, this is amazing."
So you had free drinks and then
Free drinks.
For the rest of your life, yeah. You should have free drinks all over Goa, yeah.
So we knew the impact we had, but remember, I mean, we were doing a lot of things, the whole vibe in Europe was changing. The music scene was
but
changing.
also Sundown was #1 on the German techno charts. We kind of beat everybody off the chart down there, just skyrocketed.
You even went to Billboard with was that Sundown in the American Billboard?
No. Billboard was later. That was the third album.
Ah, okay.
So while we were making the third album, and we were in the middle of the recording, I remember I had to go to Goa for a holiday, and we were.
You just had to. You were dragged down there.
And we were working on God's Eye, and then I said, let's do a track for that I can bring along with me for all the DJs in Goa. They were all screaming for new tracks. So God's Eye on Goa was actually done in 2 days, and it's very interesting because God's Eye was done by taking the original track parts and then adding this whole new element, the melody and the stuff like that on top. But if you look at it, God's Eye on Goa, the bass line is from the original. Some of the drums and stuff were also done from the original. But everything's on top. It's almost like a live jam on top, and we cut it together. It must have been also one of the first remixes completely done in Pro Tools, because it's actually 2 tracks playing at the same time. When you hear the remix parts, many people ask me for remix parts, and they go like, "But don't you have everything separate?" No, because the 2 tracks were running at the same time inside Pro Tools, and this is in '93. Nobody was doing dance music except for us in Pro Tools. So we're running these 2 tracks alongside, and out came God's Eye on Goa.
But also there's so much stuff in God's Eye. You don't do music like this anymore. I mean, the stuff we did back then, it's like it had 120 tracks. So just in this massive amount of tracks, there would be like 10 different tracks. Now we have this fantastic remix of God's Eye on Goa by Liquid Soul that is really, really good. But we also have Vince Clarke doing a completely other version of God's Eye, but they still use the same elements. It just sounds differently because they picked, Liquid Soul picked like the first 20 tracks on the desk, and Vince took the last 20 tracks on the desk. And then it's just 2 completely new things.